This is Andrew Milner for Penistone FM. I'm here with Miriam Cates, the MP for Penistone and Stocksbridge. Hello, Miriam.
Hi, Andrew. Thanks for having me on.
Miriam, what are the key messages you want to discuss?
Well, I think the whole strategy for tackling coronavirus and getting through it as a nation is all about now keeping our distance from one another. And that is really, really tough. It's tough for everybody, whatever your age, whatever your household looks like. But particularly if you're one of the at-risk groups, so if you're over 70 or if you've got an underlying health condition, it is so important now that you stay at home as much as you can, that you don't mix with other people. If you do go out for exercise, which is obviously a great thing to do, still you need to keep your distance. And I know that's going to be hard for people in many, many ways, but we've got to do this because we've got to relieve pressure on the NHS, and we've got to do this so that we do come out of this the other end.
What have you got particular messages for the older members of the community?
Well, I think be sensible. So yes, if you're going to go into isolation, you do need to make sure you've got enough food and other stores to last you through, but please don't stockpile any more than you need, and do ask for help. If you can avoid going out to shop, that's really, really important. So ask for help from people in your community to leave things on your doorstep and things like that. And there are loads and loads of groups springing up all over the constituency, community groups that are setting themselves up to help people. There is help out there. And then for people who are on their own and worried about being isolated, again, there are lots of people who are willing to call on the phone to make sure that you're okay, to give you some company, even though that is remote. So one of the things I'm doing is I'm setting up a free phone telephone number that anybody who is isolated and needs help can ring, and then me or somebody in my office will forward that request onto a community group in your area that can help you. So that number is going to be available from Monday, and it will be manned from 9 till 5, so office hours Monday to Friday, and the number is 0800 955 4002. So that's for people who live in the constituency of Penistone and Stocksbridge and who are isolating and who need help. So please do call that number if you're elderly, if you're at home and you need some help.
What about the younger people of the community?
Well, again, these are challenging times, whatever your age. So for most of us now with school-age children, our children are going to be at home for the foreseeable future. So I've got three children, and from Monday, they're going to be at home full-time. And obviously that presents a huge challenge to families, logistically, in terms of carry on working where you can, in terms of keeping your kids entertained, following work patterns that they're being set from school. And it is really, really hard. But again, it is so important that we stick to the guidelines, that we don't go and meet with other families, that we don't have any mixing between households, because that is the only way we're going to beat this. And the Prime Minister made clear last night that if we follow these guidelines, we can get over the worst of this in 12 weeks. But that means being very strict about what we allow our children to do. And it is going to be hard. But if the NHS becomes overwhelmed, that affects all of us, whether we are in an at-risk group or not. We all might need access to the NHS at any point in our lives. So we've got to protect those services for those who really, really need it.
And you mentioned earlier about the 0800 number. What are you doing about engaging the community? There's a lot of community groups involved here, and there needs to be some coordination. So how are you going about sorting that out?
Yes, well, it's just fantastic to see the response from community groups. And I've spent the last 3 days phoning round all the groups that I know about, all the ones that I can find online, asking what they're doing, how they're getting on, what help I can be. And, it's just so exciting to see what people are already doing in their own communities. Often it involves starting a Facebook group, collecting volunteers, which they're doing really, really successfully. But for people who are digitally isolated, so particularly elderly people who aren't on Facebook, they won't necessarily know about these services that are being offered. So that's why I've set up this number, which will be available from Monday, so that anybody who needs help can have a point of contact, which is my office, and then we will make sure that somebody responds to that need. So just to say the number again, 0800 955 4002, and that's for anybody who lives in the Penistone and Stocksbridge constituency.
Can you give any details of the financial helps that are available? I presume there was some information on your website.
Yes, so there are lots of different financial packages out there to support businesses, to support people who are being forced to self-isolate or who are sick from coronavirus. There's loads of information depending on your particular circumstance, and there are going to be new announcements every day. So the best thing you can do is go on my website, which is miriamcates.org.uk/coronavirus. And I'm keeping that updated daily with all the new information. It's a good one-stop shop to go to for advice.
Miriam, thank you very much for your help and your updates so far. And we look forward to hearing from you more over the coming weeks.
Thank you, Andrew.
This has been Andy Milner interviewing Miriam Cates, the MP from Penistone and Stocksbridge.